So in the industry, the last topic I want to cover is the industry of writing. So you know about the spirit, it's the prayer, the persistence, the patience. The craft, it's making sure that you work so that you can reach that bar. And then the industry. And the industry, it's really not what you know, it's who you know, is the old saying. But in the writing industry, it's both. It's what you know, the craft, and it's who you know. And the writing industry, when I first got here, I worked with my critique group, and how many of you have ever seen a TV show or a novel or something where the writer took his entire manuscript, boxed it up, sent it off to an editor, and they published it? I mean, that happens in books and movies and stuff, right? And I want to scream at the screen when I'm seeing that, and I go, that's not the way it works. And because what happens is most of you who've been here know that you don't send in a book, you send in a query letter. And if they like your query letter, which is kind of like a resume, then what they will do is they will ask you for a proposal, and a proposal is like an interview. If they like your proposal, they will give you a contract, which is like getting the job. But I didn't understand that when I first came here. So what I did is 5 months after I joined NCWA, I had an idea for an article. Still working on my book, still waiting to hear back, and be told it wasn't that well written by Waterbrook. But what happened is I had this idea for an article for Focus on the Family magazine about an anniversary celebration tradition that my wife and I had. So I worked with my critique group, and they helped me with the article. I found the submission guidelines, so I wasn't just sending the article in. I read the submission guidelines, worked with my critique group to write a proposal, and 5 months after I joined NCWA, I sent it off, and I'd never been published in a national magazine like that, and I was pretty excited about it. So Focus on the Family magazine says 4 to 6 weeks. Wait 4 to 6 weeks. Well, 4 weeks came, nothing happened. 6 weeks came and went, nothing happened. And Lori says, be patient, be patient. So I was about ready to give up. I actually sent a note to the Seattle Times to see if they'd be interested. And then one day I go to the mailbox, and here's my self-addressed stamped envelope. And I go, man, this is thick. They sent the whole article back. It was that bad. And so I'm reading it. I open it up, and I'm reading it on the way back to the house. I'm so depressed because they sent my article back. It stunk so much they didn't even want to shred it. And it said, Dear Dennis, I am pleased to inform you that we would like to accept your manuscript, The Unexpected Anniversary. And then they provide me with some requirements that I had to meet. And believe me, I was willing to meet those requirements and get published. So that was one of those things where being part of this tribe, being part of this team, helped me to get the article ready, helped me to understand the process for applying, and get my actual first check for writing, which had been a goal for a long time. So one of the things that Randy Ingermanson teaches is when you go to a conference or when you go to a meeting like this, it's a long process to get published. And what you want to be thinking of is not necessarily contracts. Don't run up to an editor or agent expecting you to get a contract. You want to make contacts. You want people to get comfortable with you. You want to get them to know you. I mentioned the March Your Lord Select contest, and I connected with a guy who had wrote what I thought was the best book in the contest. Turns out he's an award-winning author and a former NASA astronaut candidate. Well, he and I connected. I read his books, manuscripts. He's read mine, gave me ideas, gave me encouragement, and helped me get an agent. So those were the type of things that I set that contact up, or contact just by connecting with people because I thought he sounded interesting and I admired his work. So one of the things about writers is we tend to be introverts. And you have to do things that you might be uncomfortable with. Things like speaking, things like marketing, doing self-promotion, understanding the market, understanding what's in demand, thinking, can you alter your work to make it fit the market without compromising? For example, in my book, I went back and I took one of the female characters and made her a much stronger protagonist and added a romantic angle. And did it make the book worse? Did it compromise it? No. It's still John the Apostle's character, and how he deals with that made it a much stronger book. The other thing is you navigate, don't expect overnight success. And I can tell you that from personal experience. They say typically it takes 10 years to get your first book contract, 3 to 5 novels. Now, how many of you read The Shack by William P. Young? Okay, so yeah, one book, he's got 20 million copies. That guy pretty much won the publishing lottery. And I'm sure most of you don't use the lottery as your retirement plan, and so you shouldn't use that for how you're going to get your book published. There's a young woman who grew up in Nazi Germany. She was a former Hitler Youth member, and she said, God's timing is perfect, and it's always later than ours. And I fall back on that a lot. Some of the resources for the industry, Christian Writers Coach. The book that we wrote as a group has a lot of interesting information about the industry. The other thing is it has a lot of great references to other places. And then blogs. Chip McGregor and Rochelle Gardner talk a lot about the industry, about self-publishing and how those things are changing. And then I also mentioned already advanced fiction writing by Randy Ingermanson, who is very perceptive. So in closing, like I said before, writing is definitely a team sport. The people around you are a resource. Connect with people, connect with groups on a formal basis, connect with them on an informal basis. Can you try to bring up the PC, Dwayne? Okay, he's going to attempt this. Supposedly it'll last for about 7 minutes. One of the things we've done as an organization is we created a bookstore, and if you go to our website, look at resources, there's an NCWA bookstore, and there's a selection of books that people have recommended on the craft of writing, the spirit of the craft, focuses on nonfiction and fiction, and also talks about speaking. So if you're looking for some place to start, that's a great place to start. And Mindy, who's our idea person, is working on a Pinterest setup to show people about different resources. Then conferences. We have our own conferences that we do here, and then there's conferences that you can go that focus on your specific type of writing. Those are great resources, good way to get to know people, get to know editors and agents as well. So in summary, the spirit is about faith and persistence. The craft is about putting in the time, making sure it's quality time so that you can eventually reach that bar, which is invisible to most of us. And then the industry is understand the process and connect with the people. My closing quote is by Stephen King again. He says, writing isn't about making money. It isn't about getting famous, getting dates, or making friends. In the end, it's about enriching the lives of those who will read your work and enriching your own life as well. So in your writing journey, walk in faith, do the work to honor your calling from God, and connect to the community of faith-based writers around you, because writing is a team sport.